Good morning, folks. This is Mr. Dan coming to you from the Landscape Design Classroom, and today I'm going to talk to you about agriculture hydroponic systems. So the main idea here is what is agriculture hydroponics and how does it work? So if we take a look at the picture here, this is a hydrostacker that's growing lettuce using Perlite, which is a white airy material that allows plants to root in, and it works especially well in a hydroponic system. We actually use it in the greenhouse here as well with our soil mixes to allow more air into our soil mixes to promote growth within those. So three main methods of hydroponic production that we've talked about before. We have water culture, aeroponic culture, and aggregate culture, which we're going to cover in today's lesson. So agriculture, this uses a solid growing media for plant support and root growth. So you're going to see plants growing through some different materials such as perlite, vermiculite, stone, much more solid, lets water solution through much easier, and actually acts as a really interesting filtration system. So it provides nutrients from a nutrient solution, not from the growing media. So if you have a really solid material, all that's really doing is letting it root in. So all your nutrients are going to come from that solution that's coming in and out. So if you look at the photo down here on the right, you'll see all these different tubes going in and out to each tub here, and those are shooting that nutrient solution into the plants. In gravel culture, indoors and outdoors. Some possible materials include crushed granite rock, pea gravel, and hydrogen stones. Those are those little clay pebbles, look like marbles. Gravel culture operation. It's a closed system recycling the nutrient solution. So that water is going to be continually recycled back and forth. We actually use a closed system here at the school too with our water-based system. So we'll be getting a little bit more into that. And uses sub-irrigation to flood and drain the beds. It uses rock wool and horticubes transplanted directly into gravel beds. And we'll take a look at a picture of those, or we'll take a look at a picture of those in a few. Usually you'll see like these little cubes at the bottom, or like right where the roots come up. It actually helps with balance. So, or helps keep those plants upright so that they're not leaning over. Gravel culture maintenance, sterilize between crops with a bleach or hydrochloric acid solution. So whenever you go to sterilize these, you want to run that solution through a bunch of times. And then once you get rid of that solution, you want to run just regular water through that because you don't want any bleach or hydrochloric acid residue left over, or else your next set of plants will most likely die from that. Flooded with water to leach out chlorine, like I just said. Eventually replaced due to root buildup. So over time, whenever you work with one of these aggregate systems, since it's a solid rock in there, those roots are actually going to really solidify that. So you're going to either have to clean those out, or you're going to have to get some new material for down in there. Sand culture, common in arid desert areas. Usually uses sand beds under greenhouse cover. Uses an open system with drip irrigation where nutrient solution is not recycled. That's going to be a much finer material. So just think of like a regular sand if you're on the beach. You're still going to be able to get really good water flow through capacity, but it's definitely a much dirtier system. So planted in above ground troughs or directly in sand floor on the greenhouse. Flushed with clean water to leach out accumulated salts. Sterilized using steam or chemical fumigants between crops. And just like you do with your other system, whenever you're cleaning that out, you want to make sure you shoot water through there again afterwards, because you want to make sure everything is totally cleaned out of there. I've seen a bunch of crops when people use anything such as bleach, any sort of chemical, if they don't clean it out properly, then their next crop either dies out pretty quickly or looks pretty weak towards the end of its or by its harvest date. The sawdust culture, common in areas with a forest industry. So you'll see it a little bit more around here. It's an open system where the nutrient solution is not recycled. uses beds or troughs or polyethylene bags. So a little bit on the operation, nutrient delivery options, pre-mixed in large tanks, injected into feeder lines, and dry fertilizer mixed with bagged sawdust. I've also seen people take fertilizer, just like a granular fertilizer, and spread it out over top as well. Needs sterilization between crops. Sawdust added due to decomposition. Vermiculite peat mix. We actually use vermiculite and peat on campus here. Polyethylene sacks hung from the roof or laid on the floor. An open system where a nutrient solution is not recycled. And growing medium changed between crops. So moving on from that, we have rock wool culture. This is the most used hydroponic method. If you take a look at the picture down below, where you have your little rock cube down here, or this little rock wool culture, your plant is growing up out of that, and it's actually really effective for getting a good root system on it below. So, a man-made material made of slabs, cubes, granules, or blocks, and wrapped slabs and blocks placed in rows on the floor. Usually an open system where nutrients are not recycled. I have seen these in systems where they recycle that nutrient solution, but typically you don't want to do that if you don't have to. A lot of those nutrients or anything in that system actually can get caught up in that cube, sometimes adding too much into that root system. So you want to try to have a flow that is ending, getting rid of that solution, and bringing new stuff in continually. But a little more on rock wool. Maybe reused for 3 to 4 years or replaced annually due to roots. So if you take a look at this picture down here, we have these rock wool cubes that plants are able to grow up from, and they're actually really effective because it not only keeps that plant upright, but it also offers stability for the roots below as well. So they have a nice little wrap around them, and they can grow pretty efficiently. It's pretty expensive. And lower capital costs for equipment and installation. So you might be paying a little bit more for that material, but it's just like anything else. You have to do your research into what you want to spend into this and figure out which system is going to work best for you over time. I recommend a rock wool system because you can grow plants very efficiently, and sometimes you get some nicer looking crops as compared to other methods. Perlite is a growing medium, similar to rock wool culture. If you take a look at a picture on the right, this white material over here is straight up perlite. So it's a very extremely airy material. We keep some in the greenhouse here. We mix it with other soils to allow more air in. So as long as you have a really good system for getting water in and out and continuous flow, it can work very well. But I do err on the side of caution here because that material is so light that sometimes it can be hard to keep those plants upright and stocked. So it all depends on what you're trying to grow. So some of these options, with gravel, you're gonna have closed irrigation, sand open, sawdust open, vermiculite open, rock wool open or closed, but open is definitely the method you typically want to go, and perlite definitely open. So that is all I have for you today. If you have any questions, you can reach me down at the landscape design classroom. But have a great day, folks, and thanks for listening.